Hey guys, I know I haven't done a movie review thing in quite a long time. There are quite a lot of movies that have come out in the past year or so that I have a lot of opinions on, so I will try to get those in somewhat a relevant timeline. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about not a specific movie, but a trope in movies, or should I say just an instrument in movies that it's one of those things that can be done really, really well or really, really poorly. And I see it increasingly movies being done incredibly poorly. So it's the use of subtext in a movie. The whole kind of point with subtext is that it is not supposed to be incredibly obvious. That would somewhat defeat the point. And this particularly, let's just say there's some movies that fit this example very, very well. One that comes to mind, because, I always appreciate horror movies that have some kind of a deeper subtext, that aren't just there, oh, it's a scary thing, that have some kind of deeper meaning, and there's plenty of movies that come to mind that do this exceedingly well. But one movie that comes to mind that I think is really, really overrated, and Adam from Your Movie Sucks would agree with me on this one, is the first Smile movie. I've not seen the second Smile movie, but I kind of assume it follows the same format. There's been this really, really prevalent trend in horror to make the horror it's really about your trauma. And Smile literally clobbers you over the head into brain damage about that. The metaphor I use to explain a movie that is not very subtle is the good or bad meme where Steven Seagal punches the racism out of a dude.
And the guy goes,
I need time to change. Time.
you know what? You're right. And Steven Seagal just punched the racism out of that guy.
So yeah, it is about just as subtle as Steven Seagal punching the racism out of that man. It wants you to know that this movie is about trauma. And it's like, you could have just made a movie that is literally just about trauma if you really wanted to make a movie that obvious. Otherwise, what's the point? It is no longer the subtext. It is just the text, which is fine. There are plenty of movies that are super literal. There are plenty of movies that are not subtle whatsoever. You can be that, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say this movie has a subtext and then be incredibly obvious about it. There is kind of a reverse of this where people will claim a subtext to something that is not apparent whatsoever, regardless if it was originally intended or not. And I think that's actually kind of a cop-out. One example comes to mind. It's one of those, or if not the movies you'll find on a list of disturbing films, a Serbian film. So basically, if people don't know what a Serbian film is, it's basically if you took the Aristocrats joke and then made it into a movie, but made it completely serious, but made it so over the top it turns into comedy again. So a Serbian film. The director claims that it is about the history of Serbia and the government's treatment of its people. I think this is an excuse that he made to justify him making basically what was a film just to shock you for the sake of shock. And I do not like those films at all. I do not mind a shocking, a transgressive, a disturbing film. But those films have to have some reason behind them. They cannot be shocking for the sake of shocking. Those films honestly don't really disturb me. What disturbs me are films like Martyrs or films like irreversible, which actually have a point to them, and will actually stick in your mind because of that point. But anyway, that's a case of saying, well, actually, this movie means this, and then it's like nowhere in the film at all. But what's more common is that making it very clear what a movie means, so obviously clear. And the reason why this annoys me so much is because often this is in movies made for adults. I don't care if it's in movies made for kids, because like kids probably won't pick up on it otherwise. Again, I don't know if you would call it subtext if it's just like a movie that's very obvious like that. But when a movie is supposed to have subtext and it's made for adults, I think it's meant to appeal to audiences that have a mental capacity higher than that of a 3-year-old. So, understandably, we should be able to piece the things together ourselves, or if we don't, if it's very subtly and nicely done, when we learn what the subtext is, we go, oh, okay, now I get it. It should not be like spoon feeding it to you, hitting you over the head with it to your point, like, oh, I get it. Yeah, it's very, very obvious. Yeah, so I guess that was just a rant on when is the subtext just the text? Because you kind of can't have both. You can't have a subtext that's very obviously text and then try to claim you're being subtle about it and it's a metaphor and stuff, because the whole point of a metaphor is it's not supposed to literally describe something. So yeah, that was my little rant. I might do like a more detailed video on this, like giving movies that have a good example of using subtext, giving movies that have a bad example of using subtext, maybe movies that are an example I used where they supposedly have a subtext, but it's so thin that you can't really see it. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.